All right, guys. So the best way that I can explain this movie, so it's called Your Monster. It came out last year. It's an hour and 43 minutes, and it's rated R. Now, the best way I can explain this is it is technically a rated R Beauty and the Beast. As you can tell, there's Beauty, there's the Beast. Now, the cast, we have Melissa Barrera, who plays Laura Franco. We have Tommy Dewey, who plays the monster. We have Edmund Donovan, who plays Jacob Sullivan. We have Megan Fahey, who plays Jackie Denon. And we have Kayla Foster, who plays Maisie Silverberg. Now, the whole film is centered around Laura, who ends up basically being dumped by Jacob because she ends up having cancer and it's too much on him. He's a Broadway producer, and what he says goes, basically. She ends up getting diagnosed with cancer. The film starts off, we get smashed right into the story. It's too much on him, so he has to break up with her, and it's completely fucked up. And so she ends up, she's in remission, and her friend Maisie picks her up at the hospital and brings her back to Laura's mom's house. And all Laura can do is sob. She misses Jacob. She misses Broadway. Her life sucks. She just wants to die. And I feel like this film really, grasps how much one person could mean to somebody. And so, she keeps on doing this day after day. And then she ends up going up into her closet, and she ends up running into the monster. And now the monster basically, he's like, oh, I lived here since you were a young kid, and da 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 da. And he's like, you need to leave. This is my house. And she's like, well, I have nowhere to go. He goes, you have 2 weeks, and then you got to pack your bags. And, go figure. They fall in love in those 2 weeks. But she's still in love with Jacob at the same time. She's in love with the Broadway musical that was written for her. And so when she auditions, she finds out that Jackie ends up getting her role instead. And, it's kind of a bunch of back and forth, Laura's trying to battle the feelings she has for Jacob without wanting to rip his head off. And then she goes home, and Monster's trying to explain to her, like, hey, express that anger. Express the, all the feelings you have, because if you hold them inside, it's not going to do any good. And I don't know, just the way that the dynamic goes with Melissa and Tommy, I feel like this film was very, you couldn't, if you did it with anybody else besides Tommy and Melissa, I don't think that this film would have lasted in the theaters, because the concept was, it was kind of mushy. I mean, you have a rated R Beauty and the Beast. But at the same token, it was a very interesting film. For once, you're actually, you're cheering for the Beast. You're cheering for the monster to be happy. And there are a lot of times where the monster shows his true feelings. And, if you were watching this film and you don't want something bad to happen to Jacob, I don't know where your priorities lie, but Jacob is the real monster in this film, if you ask me. This film really teaches you that what's on the outside doesn't match what's on the inside. You could be a monster on the inside and on the outside look beautiful, but that's just you hiding it well. And that's fucked up. Now, IMDb gave it a 6.4 out of 10. I give it a 4 out of 5 because it was a fun watch. It doesn't take up too much of your time, and the story you can really, you can relate to. Now, if you are interested in watching this and you haven't already, it's on HBO Max. But like I said, give it a watch. Let me know what you think, because for Rated R Beauty and the Beast, I think it hit it spot on to being probably one of the best films that Melissa did after she left Scream. So, give it a watch. Let me know what you think.